So, as per the pseudocode, we have covered format 1, format 2, while and while, format 3, repeat and until, and non-iterative loops, which we term as format 5. Today, we are going to discuss format 4, which is complex or nested for next. And instead of one for, we will have two fors there, one within another. So let's first discuss that. So it's like, let's say there is a school that has 8 classes and every class has got 10 students. Let's say we have to find the average age of all 10 students in every class. So first we just ignore this part, that a school has got 8 classes. We will just take this part. There are 10 students. So what we do, we take input age for every student and how many students are there for a student is equal to 1 to 10. We put this age into total and we just go on with 10 students. So this is just one class. Once we get out of this, we will basically find average of the age of all 10 students. And we output average. This is average age of one class. And then take this part now. Okay. What we will do, first we need to initialize usually. So student is equal to 0, age is equal to 0, total is equal to 0, and average is equal to 0. Then we will put this inside another loop for class is equal to 1 to 8. And then we will put next here. So this wrapping of format 1 into another for is called nested for. Means this is format 1. It is being wrapped in format 4. Alright, so that this format can be repeated for this number of times. This is very simple, straightforward. There is no complication in it. So this is exactly the way we have format 1, and this is wrapped inside another loop so that we could do whatever we are doing inside the loop for that number of times. So if there are 8 classes, outer loop once will work, inner loop will work completely. So for every outer count, there is a complete cycle of inner count. For every single count, there is a complete cycle of inner count. Outer loop works once and inner loop works from 1 to the end. Outer loop works twice, inner loop is again restart from 1 and to the end. So that is how it works. So when we put a for inside another for, the purpose is simple, that we are going to do whatever that is happening inside for as many number of times. So let's see how this format works. So format 4, as usually we do, if we initialize, then we have for outer count is equal to 1 to n1. Now we would have two numbers, so this is n1. And then we will initialize but this initialization would be partial. We will discuss about it, that we do not need to initialize everything, but we would do it partial, especially the total. This is partial initialization, and especially we will initialize total. Let's see when and why. Then we have got, as usual, next for inner loop is equal to 1 to n2. So this is n1 and this is n2. All right, so inner loop. Then input, whatever the input that we need. Then comes formula. Then output formula result. And again, if there is a formula, there is a result. Otherwise, we don't need the formula. All right. Then let's call it total 1. We do need multiple totals here. So total 1 is equal to total 1 plus something, totaling. Then count with decision, if there is any. We call it C1. Then output with decision. Then there are extreme values. And then next inner loop. Then we need average 1, which is inside the loop, requires total 1 divided by n2, because this loop belongs to n2. Then percentage 1 is equal to C1 divided by n2 multiplied by 100. Then we need to output whatever that we need to inside the loop, and then comes next part, next outer count. Then comes average 2. Now this average 2 will be the whole average for all of the loops. So basically what happens, that we have a total 2, which we update every time total 1 is actually calculated. So here inside the loop, we will update or initialize total 1. Every time inside loop works, we have to actually initialize total 1. Why? We will see. Then average 2 is equal to total 2 divided by n1 multiply n2, because this is the complete total. Let's say there are 8 classes and there are 10 students. So outer loop work 8 times or inner loop works 10 times. Means inner loop works 10 times for every class and there are 8 classes. So it means that we would have 80 loops. 10 classes multiplied by 8 classes multiplied by 10 students, so that is almost 80 loops. So if there is a total of whole school and we need to find the average of whole school, then we would have the total ages of 80 students. They are in 8 different classes. That is why you have to actually multiply n1 and n2. Same happens with percentage. Percentage 2 would be total 2 no, not total 2, sorry, count C1 divided by N1 multiply N2, and the result will be multiplied by 100, and then we will have output. So this is bit lengthy sort format, but it's not difficult. As you can see in the example, I have made it clear. This is very simple. So actually it is inside just format 1, and that is again wrapped into another format which is again format 1, but this makes it format 1 inside another format 1, for within for. And the philosophy is simple. For nested loops, for every outer count there is a complete cycle of inner count. That is how the whole thing works. Let's see if there are any questions and how do we know. For format 1, we find a single number. And for format 2, we find 2 numbers, obviously, because there are 2 for, so let's check it. This is format 4. A group of students were monitoring the temperature every day over a 1-year period. Readings were taken 10 times every day. So inner loop would be for reading is equal to 1 to 10 every day, and you may assume there are 365 days. So for day is equal to 1 to 365. Input all the temperatures, 10 per day. Input the temperature. Output the highest temperature over 1 year. Output the lowest temperature over 1 year. It means that we have to have this extreme values. Output the average per day and output the average of the whole year. So we will have total 1 is equal to total 1 plus temperature, and over here we will initialize total 1 to 0, and then if temperature is greater than highest, then highest is equal to temperature. Secondly, if temperature is less than lowest, then lowest is equal to temperature and next reading. So this is done. Next reading, and then we have to find the average of the day for the temperature. Hold on. Average of the day is equal to total 1 divided by 10, and then total 2 is equal to total 1, sorry, total 2 is equal to total 1, or total 2 plus total 1, and then we will output what? Average of the day. Now this is done for single day, and then we are like next day. Once we get out of this loop, outer loop, we be like average of the year is equal to total 2 divided by 10, which is n1, multiplied by n2, which is 365, and then we will output average of the year, highest and lowest. That's your answer. Now initialization. We will initialize day is equal to 0, total 1 is equal to 0, reading is equal to 0, temperature is equal to 0, highest is equal to minus 1000, lowest is equal to 1000, total 2 is equal to 0, average of the day is equal to 0, average of the year is equal to 0, and that's about it. So this is relatively a lengthy one. Okay, this is relatively a lengthy one. So what you have to do is, first you have to see that what will be the loop inside. Inside the loop is basically the loop that is having less priority. So if it is year, the whole year, and the day, in that case, day would have lesser priority and the year would have more priority. If something is happening inside the loop, that means that that is happening every day. So whatever that is happening every day is reading. So that would go inside. And how many times it is happening every day, and how many days are there? 365. So 365 would be outside and 10 readings per day inside. Now there are two totals. They say they want the average per day, and they want average of the whole year. Per day, we take in total 1. So total 1 is equal to total 1 plus the temperature that is just entered. And then how do we calculate the total for the whole year? We take total 2. Total 2 is equal to whatever the previous value of the total 2 plus total 1. Now we need to initialize total 1 every day, because that total 1 is supposed to have only the reading for that one day. We took reading day 1, day 2, day 3, temperature 1, temperature 2, temperature 3, temperature 4, temperature 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then those readings are total in total 1. We divide that total 1 by 10 and we found what? The average of the day. When we will loop again for the next day, we do not need any total from the previous day, because next day would have its own 10 total readings. So for that sake, we have to initialize total 1 again, because it will have now the total 10 readings for the day. But they also require us to have average of the whole year. In that case, we have to have all the readings, all the days throughout. So before initializing total 1, what we do at the end of the inner loop, we add it to total 2. So day 1's all 10 readings in total 1 will be added to total 2. System will go back, make total 1 0 again, and have 10 total values of the day in it. We find average of the day, and then we will add that total 1 again in total 2. Now total 2 would have the totals of all of the days plus this day, and then it will go back, make total 1 again 0. So टोटल 1 को तो आपको हर लूप में 0 करना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो उसमें पिछले दिन की अगर टेम्परेचर्स पड़े हुए उनका टोटल पड़ा हुआ तो आप उस दिन की एवरेज थोड़ी निकाल सकते हैं. एवरेज तो ये होगी कि उसी दिन के आप 10 टोटल्स की एवरेज निकालें. इससे पहले कि हम वापस जाएं और उसको इनिशियलाइज करें, हम उसको टोटल 2 में ऐड करते चले जाते हैं. सो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे हमारे पास टोटल 2 में सारे 365 दिन के टोटल्स का टोटल हो जाता है. तो फिर हम उसको 3650 से जब डिवाइड करेंगे तो हमारे पास पूरे साल का टोटल निकल आएगा. दैट इज व्हाट इज टोटल 2 हर्मिस. All right, so that is how it works. Format 4. अब देखिए समटाइम्स क्या होता है कि उनको ये तो पता होता है कि N1 क्या है, लेकिन अगर आपको ये नहीं पता कि N2 क्या है तो फिर वो आपको इनपुट लेना पड़ेगा. यानी कि यहां पर आप लिखेंगे इनपुट N2 और फिर N2 उतनी बार चलेगा. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? अगर आपसे कोई ये कहता है कि एक दुकान 7 दिन खुलती है, लेकिन उसमें जो सेल होती है वो वेरिंग नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स होती है एवरी डे. एक दुकान 7 दिन खुलती है, but the number of sales every day in a shop are different. So what happens that outer count will go for 7 days, and every day at the end of the day we have to enter that how many sale transactions were committed. So we say that today there were 5 sale transactions. So inside loop will go on for 5 times that day. And for day number 2, it will ask again and will go for those number of times. So N1 is given, but N2 is not. So if N2 is not given, then we will have to actually take input. Before we start outer count, before we start inner count, we basically have to have input for the turns of inner count. But in that case, we will have no idea of how many times the number of loops actually worked. So this cannot happen in that case. If outer count is known, let's say there is a shop that works for 7 days. There is a shop open for 7 days and transactions every day are unknown. Every day are different in number. So what we will do, outer loop would go for like for days is equal to 1 to, for day is equal to 1 to 7. But for inner loop, that will be for transaction is equal to 1 to what? Every day it is different. So what we will do, we will take input before inner loop. Input number of transactions. And we will put that number over here. And then we do whatever we need to. Then next transaction and then next day. So this idea needs to be understood properly. But when we are actually collecting number of transactions, we have to have a count of it as well. And a total of number of transactions as well. See, if N1 is known and N2 is known, if N1 and N2 both are known, means outer count and inner count are known, it means total counts or loops are N1 multiplied by N2, means 8 multiplied by 10, 80 loops. In this case, what? We don't know. For that reason, whenever we input we input the total number for inner counts, we will add it. So total inner count is equal to total inner count plus number of transactions for the day. So then let's say we are using input for the sale amount and we are totaling sale amount. Then at the end of all 7 days, average of the week will be total divided by what? Total inner counts, which we just calculated over here. And then we will be able to output average of the week. तो अगर आपको इनर काउंट पता है तो आप जो है वो टोटल काउंट्स लूप के निकाल सकते हैं बाय मल्टीप्लाइंग आउटर काउंट एंड इनर काउंट. अगर आपको इनर काउंट नहीं पता तो आपको इनर काउंट की अंदर इनपुट लेनी पड़ेगी और उस इनपुट यानी कि n2 लेना पड़ेगा और उस इनपुट को लेने से पहले उस इनपुट को लेने के बाद आपको जो है वो उसका टोटल भी करना पड़ेगा ताकि आप आखिर में उसको n1 और n2 के अगेंस्ट इस्तेमाल कर सकें. लेट्स सी. Let's check this question out. An estate agent advertises houses for sale. An estate agent advertises houses for sale. The customer inquiries for a 7-day working week, ये outer counter, are entered weekly into the computer. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or a program flow chart which input the number of customer inquiries each day. Number of customer inquiries each day. This is inner count, which is unknown. Input house price each customer inquires about, and output how many. Count with decision. And naturally, count with decision can come with percentage. Output how many customers inquired each day means inner count output. About houses costing less than 100,000. Output the percentage of all inquiries made during the week. That is outer count output. About houses costing more than 500,000. So we would have two count with decision. One for 100,000. That will be output inside the loop because it will be output inside the outer loop, means after inner loop we will initialize it, and then we would have another count that will be for the outer count final output. ठीक है, अब देखें, let's do it somewhere over here. This is May, June 2012 P12. May, June 2012 P12 question 15. And this is format 4. So it says estate agency works for 7 days a week. So for day is equal to 1 to 7. That is outer count. Then there are number of inquiries every day that we don't know. So it says that input the number of customer inquiries each day. So input number of inquiries, and then inner loop would go like for, all right, hold on. Input number of inquiries, and then for inquiry is equal to 1 to number of inquiries. So we have taken one input. Maybe one day we have got 10 inquiries, the other day we have got 20 inquiries, maybe someday we don't have any inquiries, so the loop will never work. And then it says that input sales amount or inquiry amount. What does it say? Input the house price. Input the house price. And then it says that output how many customers inquired each day about houses costing less than 100,000 and percentage of only during the week house costing more than 500,000. So if price is less than 100,000, remember no comma, no nothing. All right, you don't have to put any comma after 3 digits. No, it's not that way. Then let's say A is equal to A plus 1, and if price is greater than 500,000, then let's say B is equal to B plus 1. Next inquiry. Now it says that output the number of times someone has asked for the inquiries, so for the house price less than 100,000 daily. So it means that this is in account. So output A. All right. Input the number of customer inquiries each day. That is done. That is the input for inner count. Input the house price each customer inquires about. That is the input inside inner count. Output how many customers inquired each day about houses costing less than 100,000. That is the output for the inner count as in A, and since it is the output for inner count, A will be initialized inside the outer count and before the inner count starts, because every day we have to tell that how many inquiries were made for prices less than 100,000. So we have to initialize A before the start of every day. Then it is next day. Once all 7 days inquiries are made, B will be updated for the inquiries of the houses for prices more than 500,000. So B is having a total for the inquiries which were made for the house prices greater than 500,000. Now what we have to do about it? Output the percentage of all inquiries made during the week about houses costing more than 500,000. So we have to find the average. So, percentage. So percentage is equal to B divided by what? Multiply by 100, and then we will output the percentage. So we have to divide this B by the number of inquiries made during the whole week. And that number is not given, and we are taking that number every day before the inner loop. So we have to add that number. So as soon as we take that number, which is number of inquiries, फिर हम बोलेंगे total inquiry is equal to total inquiry plus number of inquiries for that day. So every day there are number of inquiries, they will be added to total inquiry. So this time we will divide it by total inquiries, and that is how we find the result. Now initialization, day is equal to 0, A is equal to 0, number of inquiries is equal to 0, total inquiries is equal to 0, inquiry is equal to 0, price is equal to 0, B is equal to 0, and percentage is equal to 0. This is initialization, this will be the question. So this is the only variation in this particular format 4 question, where we have no idea that for every outer count, we know about our outer count, that for every outer count how many times the inner loop will work. So what we have to do, we have to actually then do this. This is something new, and this is something new. When we don't know about the number of inner counts for every outer count, and we only know that how many times the outer count works. That is how it works. So let's see if we have more format 4 questions. Not here. Let's check in the latest file. All right. This is format 5. Let's see if it is format 5 or not. This is format 5, sorry, not format 4. This is format 5. This question says that write an algorithm. There is no loop. I think that's about it. Just there are just 2 questions for format 4 since 2006, or maybe I have not come across any. Sir, हम पर B into नहीं कर सकते. नहीं. अगर आप लिखेंगे B डिवाइड बाय नंबर ऑफ इंक्वायरीज तो सिर्फ आखिरी दिन के नंबर ऑफ इंक्वायरीज सही होगा. हमें नंबर ऑफ इंक्वायरीज के टोटल से B को डिवाइड करना. Now, this question says, write an algorithm using pseudocode, just the pseudocode, to input 3 different numbers, multiply the 2 larger numbers together and output the result. So this is not a loop. This is a simple question. You have to enter 3 numbers, number 1, number 2, number 3. They are asking for it this way. They say that enter 3 numbers, number 1, number 2, and number 3. Multiply the 2 larger numbers. So we have to find out that out of these 3 numbers, number 1, number 2, and number 3, which 2 are actually greater. So it means we have to enter 3 numbers, 1, 2, 3. Let's say this is number A, this is B, this is C. What we have to do, we have to first check that if A is less than B and C, it means that we have to multiply B and C. Second, we have to check if B is less than A and C, it means that we have to multiply A and C. Thirdly, we have to check if C is less than A and B, then it means that we have to multiply A and B. So this is very simple question. People get stuck with such questions. You have to basically separate the number which is alone. So it says that again, this is format 5, no loop, no nothing. Write an algorithm using pseudocode to input 3 different numbers, multiply the 2 larger ones. Okay, so input number 1, number 2, number 3. And then you would have a series of if then else. If number 1 is less than number 2 and number 1 is less than number 3, then x is equal to number 2 multiply number 3. If, now let's check number 2. If number 2 is less than number 1 and number 2 is less than number 3, it means that number 2 is lesser than 1 and 3. Then x is equal to number 1, then x is equal to number 1 multiplied by number 3. And then the last check, if number 3 is less than number 1 and number 3 is less than number 2, then x is equal to number 1 multiplied with number 2. So if Number 1 is less than number 2 and number 1 is less than number 3. It means that we have to multiply 2 and 3. Then we have to check number 2. If number 2 is less than number 1 and number 3, then we have to multiply 1 and 3 and store the result in X. If number 3 is less than number 1 and number 2, it means that we have to multiply number 1 and number 2 and store the result in X. And then ultimately we will output what? X. Then initialization. Number 1 is equal to 0. Number 2 is equal to 0. Number 3 is equal to 0 and X is equal to 0. That's about it. So this is a simple format 5 question. We do not need to have any loops for it. So that's about it. This is format 4. So we have completed all of the formats. We have completed all of the formats. So we completed all of the formats. It means that we have completed the pseudocodes for all of the formats. Let's start with array. Well, array can be dealt. सर अगर स्टेटमेंट 2 लाइन में आ रही है तो एंड इफ लगाएंगे. जी जी जी, लाइन से आगे आ रही है तो एंड इफ लगाएंगे. आप देन तक फिर एक लाइन में लिखेंगे, डिसीजन सेकंड लाइन में लिखेंगे और उसके बाद फिर आप एंड इफ लिखेंगे. अगर देन से अगर 2 लाइनों में आ रही है, एक में नहीं आ रही, तो फिर आप देन जो है वो उसके आगे नेक्स्ट लाइन में लिखेंगे. फिर आपके लिए एंड इफ लिखना जरूरी है. अच्छा जी, अब एरे शुरू करते हैं. Before we go any further, we need to talk about data structures. So what are data structures? Data structures are means of storing data and handling data. My video is paused. Data structures. Data structures are means of storing and managing data in computers' memory. By saying managing, we mean to hold it, to search it for us, to give it to us when we require it, and update it as soon as we change the value. That is managing. There are three different data structures in O-level syllabus. Variable, simple data structure, constant, and array. So whenever they ask for a data structures, they never mean variable or constant, because they ask for variable and constant by the name. So if they say which data structure will be suitable for this type of data, it means they are asking for array. All you have to do is to, whenever there's a question that says which data structure, the answer without any second thought, without any further ado, we need to write what? Array. Okay. So as soon as they ask which data structure, so they do not actually call this variable and constant a data structure. In past paper questions, whenever the question asks for which data structure is this or which data structure is suitable, all you have to do is to say vary. That's it. So what is a variable? Variable is any identifier that is having a value and you can change during the execution of program that value. So what basically happens that every single data structure is occupying some space in computer's memory. As soon as you put a value there, it stores that value in that space. When you update it, the previous value is gone and the new value takes over. That is why we call it vary, changeable. Now if you assign another value, the previous value is gone now and the new value takes over. So this is just one place. So whatever the value that you assign to that particular variable will take place. Previous value will be raised and the new value will take its place. That is variable. Then comes the constant. If x is 5 and x is a constant, we do not make this x just like that and we assume that this is a constant. Rather we have to write const. So this is the whole statement, or constant, constant x is equal to 5. It means that space in memory is still allocated, but this is now a constant. You cannot make any difference. So if you try to assign a different value, this will generate an error. Why? This is a constant and you are trying to change it. So this is an error. Okay. Let's say pi. You can create a constant for pi and you can fix it to 3.14159. And during the course of program, if someone or something or some statement tries to overcome this value or tries to change this value, in that case what will happen? That system will generate an error because the value of pi cannot be changed, not by the rule of maths, but because you have made it a constant. So constant's value never changes. So why do we make constant? We make constants because once the constant, let's say if there is a constant, let's say tax amount or tax percentage is better one. So everywhere where you are calculating tax, instead of putting this percentage as 22.37, you rather use TAXPER. And let's say you have used it at 10 places in the whole program, at 10 different locations for 10 different purposes, but as the percentage of tax. Next year, government changes the tax and reduce it down to 20. If you would have written it at 20 different places or 10 different places, 22.37, you would have to visit every single place to turn it to 20. But if you would have made a constant of it, all you would have to do when the government changes the tax percentage, you will open the program, and at the top of the program where you have declared it as a constant, you will change 22.37 to 20, and program will refer to it throughout the program. So the way we refer variables, we also refer constants, but the only difference between the variable and constant is that that variable can be changed and constant cannot be changed. Now, array. Array is an advanced form of the variable. It is an advanced form of variable. How? In a variable, let's say A, we have a value 7. So in this memory space, we have saved 7. We like to have another value 9 in the variable. That will change the 7, but I would like to save or keep 7 as well as 9. So I will allocate further space and put 9 there. And then I want to have another space, and I would like to keep 3 there. Now the thing is, these all 3 spaces are having the same name, which is not possible. So what we do, we take this block and declare it as an array. Array is an advanced form of variable where what you do, you instead of one space in the memory, you occupy several spaces and you number them. And then when you like to save a value at a particular number, you actually put it in box brackets. So A in space 1 is 7, A in space 2 is 9, A in space 3 is 3. Now these numbers here are called indexes. And the index which is the lowest index, which is 1, it is set to be lower bound. And the one which is highest is called upper bound. So an array is an advanced form of variable where instead of having just one value, we may have several values, and every single value is in its respective memory space, and that memory space is then numbered so that we could refer to that memory space with a number but same name, that is A1, A2, A3. This is as simple as that. That's about it, array. Now, if you want to take input in second location, you will be like input A2. So whatever the input that you give will be assigned to A2. And you may be using it output A3. So what will output? 3. If you like to output A1, what will be output? 7. So that's very simple. Instead of just the name, and all these 3 locations, maybe 4, maybe 5. In this case, upper bound will become this 5. And now array has got 5 locations. And that's how it is made. Now, array can be of any type. This is a number type. You may have array of text. In that case, let's say there is an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 locations. And it is name array, name. In A, it is Asad. In 2, it is Sadia. In C, it is Amir. Sorry. In 1, it is Asad. In 2, it is Sadia. In 3, it is Amir. In 4, it is Zafar. And 5, it is Ali. It can be that way as well. Now, declaration. If I want to change, I will assign a new value to location 4. So instead of Zafar, this will get changed to Asghar. Zafar will be wiped out. So every single location of the array is actually being treated as what? A separate variable. And the difference between the variable and array is just having multiple values. But having those multiple value does not make it any constant or anything. Every individual value can be updated, edited, changed, whatever. So a variable is a single space in the computer's memory. An array is multiple spaces, with every space is having its own index. But all of the spaces are collectively have one name. That name would have a postfix with the index in large brackets to indicate that which of the space in all these array locations we are actually accessing. That is how it works. This is very simple. So declaration. Declaration, what is declaration? It is an instruction to the computer in a computer language or pseudocode to find and reserve space or spaces in computer's memory. It is an instruction to the computer in a computer language or pseudocode to find and reserve spaces in computer's memory. First we declare a variable, then we initialize a variable. So the declaration of constant and the variable is not part, but sometimes in PRM they ask for the declaration of the array. So let's first declare this array A with 5 indexes and type integer. So that would be the word declare. This is the command. Declare A colon as an array which starts from 1 and goes until 5. This is indexes of, the word is of integer. This is a pseudocode declaration for a variable A, an array A that will have 1 as lower index and 5 as upper index. Declaration लिखा हुआ तो है, it is an instruction, it's a command to computer to find enough space and reserve it for us so that we could assign value to it. Declaration का मतलब यही है. Declaration का मतलब है कि कंप्यूटर को बोल रहे हैं भाई मुझे सेव करना है, उसके लिए मुझे array बना के दो. ठीक हो गया. अब ये एक लैंग्वेज है विजुअल बेसिक. कभी कभी दिस इज द ओनली पार्ट थ्रू आउट द सिलेबस इन एनी फॉर्म. जी हाँ 1:5 मीन्स 1 to 5, फर्स्ट इंडेक्स टू फिफ्थ इंडेक्स. VB.NET में ये सूडो कोड है. इसमें हम लिखते हैं डिम डिक्लेयर इन मेमोरी A with 5 locations as integer. ये आपको याद करना होगा क्योंकि पूछा जा सकता है, PRM में भी पूछा जा सकता है. एरे को हम कैसे डिक्लेयर करते हैं, डिक्लेरेशन का क्वेश्चन आ सकता है, लेकिन वो आपको बताएंगे कि एरे में कितनी इंडेक्सेस हैं. कुछ लोग ये आर्ग्यूमेंट करते हैं कि सूडो कोड में एक और तरीके से एरे बनाया जा सकता है और वो ये है कि आप एरे का नाम लिखें और उसकी अपर बाउंड लिख दें, दैट्स इट, इससे एरे बन जाएगा. तो पता नहीं. We do not have to write anything in any of the language. I told you that throughout the syllabus, for any sort of thing, this is the only declaration of array that might be asked in any of the language, not VB, any of the language, just the declaration, which is again not part of the PRM solution. This would be a separate question, separately somewhere related to PRM, because PRM would have arrays in it. Now, this array of type text or string, how do we create it? In pseudocode, it's declared name as array starting from 1 ending at 4 means the lowest index is 1 and the highest index is 4 of type string. And another group says all you have to do is to put the name and the upper index and that's it. I don't agree with it. So I'm just telling you because students start arguing with me. bb.net would have dim. Dim is declare in memory. That's a command. Name of 4 indexes as a string. That is how it works. That's it for array. Now, there might be a question that say input 10 numbers and save in the array. Let's say there is an array of 10 indexes. So how would you do that? You will be like for x is equal to 1 to 10. Input a number and assign that number to the array. Let's say the name of array is n and it has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 values. Indexes 4, 5, 6 up to 10. I have to create a loop and input all the values and put those values consecutively in the whole array. So then I'll be like n of x is equal to number and next x. So when x will be 1, the value that is input will be assigned to n1. In next loop, x will be 2. So the value that is input will be assigned to n2. And in next loop, x is 3. So the next value that is input will be assigned to n3. And this way x will run from 1 to 10. And in every run, in every turn, in every loop, n of that particular count will be assigned the value that is just input. So that is how it works. So if it says that output all the values from the array, in that case you'll be like, this is for input. For output it would be for x or maybe another variable n is equal to n not 10, sorry. Let's say we need to output all the names from the array name. For c is equal to 1 to 4. There are just 4 values in the name array. And we'll be like output name c and then next. So when c is 1, name 1 will be output. When c is 2, name 2 will be output. When c is 3, name 3 will be output. That's it about the arrays. So the natural accomplice of array is format 1, simple for next. And that for next works through the indexes. And in every turn it is dealing with one index for input or maybe for output. So let's see if there are any questions. In first file there are no questions. In latest file there are questions. बेटा डिम का मतलब है डिक्लेयर इन मेमोरी, एक कमांड है, आप याद कर लो, जो वेरिएबल का नाम है डिम के आगे लिखो, जो उसका हाईएस्ट इंडेक्स है उसको डालो ब्रैकेट में और आगे लिख दो एज व्हाटएवर द डेटा टाइप। इसमें क्या मसला है? आपको एक नेम का वेरिएबल नेम का एरे बनाना है जिसके अंदर 10 लोकेशन है, आप लिखें डिम नेम ब्रैकेट में लिखें 10 एज स्ट्रिंग। आपको एक एज का वेरिएबल बनाना है, सॉरी एज का एरे बनाना है जिसमें 5 लोकेशंस है, उसकी टाइप इंटीजर है, आप लिखें डिम एज ब्रैकेट में लिखें 5 एज इंटीजर। इसमें क्या मसला है? इसमें कोई मसला नहीं है। Now This question says, write an algorithm using pseudocode and for to next loop structure to input 1000 numbers into an array. This is very simple. For C is equal to 1 to 1000. Input number, let's say input n, the name input n. The name of the array, let's say, is number array. So we will be like number C is equal to n and next. That's about it. Let's say there is an array of 1000 locations. The name of the array is number. Lower bound is 1, upper bound is 1000. The name of array is number. C is the count. So we take one number in n and assign it to number C. C is 1, number 1 पे n assign हो जाएगा. If C is 2, जो अगली इनपुट आएगी वो number 2 पे assign हो जाएगी. If C is 3, जो अगली इनपुट आएगी वो उस पे assign हो जाएगी. बस यही आपको 4 चीजें लिखनी है. Rewrite your algorithm using another loop structure. लूप स्ट्रक्चर का मतलब है while में. अब देखिए for next खुद C को बढ़ाता है, while नहीं बढ़ाता. आप ऐसे कर सकते हैं, आप लिखें C is equal to 1 while C is less than or equal to 1000. Input n, number C is equal to n, and then you will have to actually increase the size of C by 1 and while. The alternative loop is this. That is why they have assigned more marks. And this may go with repeat as well. So C is equal to 1, repeat, input n, number C is equal to n, C is equal to C plus 1 until C is greater than 1000. As soon as C is greater than 1000, loop will be broken and it will get out of the loop. If it is equal to 1000, it would go on for one more time, and at 1001 it will get out. All right, so this might be 3 ways doing the same thing. The swimming club has 50 members. State the data structure that would be most suitable to use and give reason for your choice. That is very simple. I told you that whenever they ask for data structure, it is array. This swimming club has 50 members. State the data structure that would be most suitable. Array. Reason, because we don't have to create and use 50 different variables, rather just one array of 50 indices that can be handled with simple for to next loop. That's it. This is your answer. Whenever they ask for data structure, you have to say array. Why array? Because we don't have to create and use 50 different variables. Declaring 50 different variables, using 50 different variables is a headache. Rather, just one array of 50 indexes would be enough, and we will take all inputs to all 50 locations of that array in just one loop of 3 lines or maybe 4. And we will output all the values and we will tackle with all those values with fewer lines. A programmer writes a program to store patient's temperature every hour for a day. It means 24 locations. State the data structure array. Again, the answer would be, because it is hard to have 24 different variables to have 24 different temperatures overall over the day. Rather, we have just one variable of 24 locations and we can handle it with a single loop. That is it. The same answer, same answer. Because we don't have to create and use 24 different variables rather than just one array of 24 indices that can be handled with simple for to next loop. Same answer. Describe the purpose of each statement in this algorithm. So the loop will go on for 300 times. A new value will be input and assigned to the next array location and end of the loop. That is it. Identify using pseudocode or another loop structure that this algorithm, ये तो अभी हमने ऊपर किया था, ये वैसे ही होगा. Instead of for हम while और वो इस्तेमाल कर लेंगे, लेकिन while और repeat इस्तेमाल करते हैं तो फिर आपको I is equal to I+1 लगाना पड़ेगा. ये मैंने ऊपर अभी आपको solve करके दिखाया है. So that's about it. These were the direct questions related to the pseudocodes for the array. Now what remains? Tracing. Tracing of the pseudocode. We are focusing over pseudocode. Now tracing remains. Now we will have to actually learn to trace those pseudocodes which are with or without arrays. Okay, so we will basically be discussing those tomorrow. Pseudocode tracing and tracing of uh, uh, these flowcharts and flowcharts in general as well. Tomorrow's lecture might be lengthy, more than 2 hours. Okay, so tomorrow's lecture might go for like maybe 2.5 or 3 hours. We have to cover a little more tomorrow because tomorrow would be the 8th day and we will have to cover actually on 9th and 10th day we will be covering pre-release material. Okay, so tomorrow we need to finish with pseudocodes and flowcharts, so that is why I might go for more than 2 hours. All right. Acha. Now this array is finished as far the understanding is concerned. And now you can see that we have to actually, that we forgot, we have to have pseudocodes tracing. Pseudocode tracing is also the part. We will have to do this tracing as well. So just give me namaz break for Maghrib in between for 5 minutes tomorrow. Okay, sure. We would have a break from 7:15 to 7:30. No issue. Just give me a reminder. I go for it after the lecture. Okay. So now what remains? Remains flowcharts and tracing. I have not emphasized over making of the flowcharts because that is an option. So it was not meaningful to create a flowchart for all the pseudocode that we have completed. We have completed all of the pseudocode from 2006 to 2019 October. All right. Now all we have to do, in a way, we have completed iterative and non-iterative pseudocodes. Now tomorrow we will finish flowcharts, tracing, fill in the blanks of flowcharts, and we will finish it tomorrow so that all we have day after tomorrow is PRM. All right. So I'll be sending you updated files today. And if there are any questions, please do ask those now. So what about the extra topics like subroutines and binary search and bubble sort? We will cover those with the tracing tomorrow. Those are not the topics. I told you that those are the topics which were taken from AS level and brought into O levels, but not as a topic, but for the sake of tracing of pseudocode algorithms. This is what I said. I said that I wish I would have an idea, then I would have taught these topics separately in O levels, but not in crash course better. So in crash course, I will identify that this particular pseudocode for tracing is for bubble sort or whatever, but not exactly as a separate topic. So what about errors and extreme values? Extreme values we have covered. Extreme values we have covered. Errors we will do rest tomorrow. So errors, flowcharts and everything, we will cover it tomorrow. So that is why I said that I will go beyond 2 hours. Do not worry. During 10 days time, I will be finishing everything as promised. Yes, whatever. Don't worry. Validation checks too. Validation checks we have covered repeat until and while, so validation checks will be covered as well. All right. So I see you then. So whatever that you might think that is missed, just take a note of it, keep it with you. At the end of the day, if you feel like that we could not cover it, do let me know and I'll cover it for you. Okay? Just do not worry. I'm not going to leave any single thing out. Just don't worry about it. Take care. Yes, I will share the board today.